Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and in this one I'm going to be using lots of stamps and things to do some mark making on my page, but I'm starting off using a collage image from Natalie May's scrapbooking. It's one of the Strength in Numbers girls, and I've just cut her out, and I'm adding her onto the side of my page using some matte medium. So once she's dry, and I'm also adding the matte medium over the top, it does help to seal the image on your page. Another little tip that I can give is once you've pasted it in using your matte medium, you gently sort of rub over the top with your finger. You can smooth it over. You can also push out any little wrinkles, and it helps to just make it nice and flat. Okay, so here I'm just trimming off the excess once it's dry, just making it tidy. My children would laugh at me saying that. And now I am using the colours that I can see already on the collage paper and just pulling that colour across my page. So I'm pretty sure that looks like a peacock colour. I'm using Dina Wakley's heavy body acrylic, and I'm just pulling that colour across my page. So I've got a dry brush to start off with, and I love the way you can get those really cool marks with the dry paintbrush. And I think once you've started using it, it's a great idea just to so now I'm continuing using the dry brush to pull that colour across my page, and it works really well. So then I'm using turquoise, so staying within the same sort of colour family, just introducing a slightly lighter tone of the colour, and just adding a few areas of that onto my page as well. And now I am using a water brush and one of the Neo Colour 2s, and just adding a little bit of colour onto the face. I'm not really looking for a heavy coverage here with this colour. I just want to give like a gentle look of colour. So I'm just picking up the pigment using my water brush and just pulling that across onto the collage paper. And I'm going in with a slightly darker tone just to add a little bit of shadow. But like I said about the first colour, I'm not worrying too much about, I'm not particularly worried about adding in the shadows in the right place. I just want to get an idea of a little bit more definition with the face and the colours that I'm using. I mean, you can barely tell really that it's there, but I know it is. So now I am using a dry brush, and I'm just kind of using the end of my brush. So you can see around the left-hand side of the face there's a little bit of black left around the image. And I want to make it feel like the collage paper belongs on my page. So what I'm doing here is using my dry brush, and I'm just pulling that black across the page so it works and it makes it look like it blends out into the page that's there. So I'm only using the paint, I'm not wetting my brush at all. So next I'm using this heart stencil from Dina Wakley, and I'm using it with some tangerine as well. I'm just sponging a little bit of colour through the stencil, and I'm pulling that across the colours that I've already added. So those hearts are kind of travelling across the page. And now that's dry, I'm using some of Natalie May's, I think what's it called, pencil scribble, collage paper, with some matte medium. I'm sticking this over the top of my paint. Sometimes you will see that I add it first, and sometimes I add it over the top, and it really, the only way that I can say that I decide what I'm doing is it just kind of depends whether I remember to pop it down first or not, or whether I think after I've added some paint, oh, I didn't put any collage paper down, right, I'll do it on top. And sometimes it's a nice way to break up the painty background that you've done, and sometimes it's a great way to start your page if you're looking at your page and going, I really don't know what I'm going to do. This massive blank page is really scaring me. Adding some collage paper on there is a good way to make a start. So this is also a scribbly text stencil from Natalie May, and here I'm using some magenta through the stencil. I'm just pulling that down the page as well. I'm kind of trying to sort of overlap my new stenciling with the first lot of stenciling, which is why you'll notice that I'm kind of putting the stencil near where the first lot of stenciling went, and it just helps connect everything together and makes the page sort of flow together a bit better. And then I've got that bit of pink left on my glass mat, so then I'm just pulling that across the edges of my page. And really the only reason I'm doing this is just to use up the paint that's left, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of makes the edges, it softens the edges as well, I think, just pulling that colour across. So now I'm using a Stabilo All pencil. I'm just outlining some of those facial features that have kind of disappeared a little bit. It just helps to draw a bit more attention to those and pull those into the foreground. And you'll notice that I'm also adding some marks into the hair as well using the pencil, and also just pulling some of those lines out. So using the ideas that are already there and just extending those out onto my page. I know my voice has gone a bit funny. I've just had a massive sneezing fit, so I do apologise. Bit of a sore throat tonight as well, which I hope isn't going to develop into anything. So now it's time to start adding that mark making using some stamps. This is a Botanical stamp from Natalie May Scrapbooking, and I start off using this with some black archival ink, and I'm just going to pull this across the bottom of my page. You might think it doesn't really show up very well at the minute, but it does better in person, to be honest. It's just the lighting on this video isn't so great. Now here I'm just supporting the book because it doesn't lie flat, and I wanted that to stamp really nicely. So I'm just angling these at different heights and different directions, just to kind of mix it up a bit and make it more interesting. Then I decided that I just wanted to darken them up, so I am using the stamping as my guideline, and I'm just outlining a little bit some of those leaves that are there, and I'm just using a Posca pen to do this. So I'm not kind of making up anything new here, I'm using the stamping as my guideline. So then once I've done that, I'm then going to use my dotty stamp and add some dots at the bottom of my page. And that just helps to kind of ground those little elements that I've just stamped and drawn into my page as well. And again, it's another way of just softening that edge. And I don't know, I just think it helps to make those add-on bits that you do feel like they belong even more. So now I'm going to start writing my quote onto my page. And I'm using quite a chunky Posca pen for this, in white. The reason I used white was because there's quite a lot of black on my page already, and I thought if I went in with black, then it would not be different enough from what's already there. So I wanted the quote to stand out really well, and I think there isn't any other contrast on the page at the moment. So going in with a white pen to do my quote is a great way to introduce that contrast. And you notice I made a mistake there. I just got a baby white while it was wet, rubbed it away, dried the page and continued with my writing. As long as your background is dry and your pen isn't dry, you can correct mistakes like that really, really easily. If you're not confident with your own writing, then of course you can use alphabet stamp set. I've just released another one through Funky Fossil. You could get hold of something like that. It's a great way to get text on your page without worrying about doing the writing yourself. So now I'm just adding some more white for that contrast on the page, and I'm using a fan brush to splatter that. So now, because sometimes I like to faff a bit, now I'm using a fine tip applicator bottle with a bit of white acrylic paint in that I've watered down a touch, and I am just adding in some more dots. And then I thought, oh, what a shame, I've disappeared a lot of that stamping and drawing that I did, and I really like that. So I wonder if I could draw with the bottle. So I did. So I'm copying kind of really the stamp that I'd used and going in with that idea and drawing some of those over the top. And it works really nicely because they are layered over the top of the ones that are already there, and they are also adding in that bit of contrast to the background. So once I'd done that and gone all the way across the bottom of the page, added some more dots, and there is the finished page using Natalie May's collage paper and stamps to make marks on my page, along with a little bit of drawing as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again soon.